Good morning, good afternoon and good evening wherever you are, and welcome to the latest episode of the My Coach Ben podcast. So in this episode we're going to be looking at something that happens to us all of the time, and it's something that we all go through. It can be good or bad, and it can in some cases leave us paralysed with fear. It often leads in any case to a very positive outcome. This is not time. This, ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals, is the topic of change. Roll the intro. So firstly, thanks for coming along, and to begin with, as always, thanks very much for the continued support and for all the likes and subscribers, and please tell your friends, tell your colleagues, and let's continue to grow the community. So thanks very much for that. Remember, if you like the content, please like, please subscribe and press the notification bell so your phone or whatever device you have will ping the next time an episode is available. Also, I'm available on the blog, on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and of course good old-fashioned www.mycoachben.com. So what is change? Let's begin as usual with a definition. The Oxford English Dictionary defines change in two ways. So without an object, to become different or altered or modified, and this can be something like an opinion. And with an object or regarding an object, to turn or convert something or someone from one state, form, or substance into another. So this can be yourself, or it could be anything else, maybe a recipe or something of that kind. So for the purpose of this podcast, we're going to focus on personal change or a team or an organisation. So essentially it's the latter of the two definitions. So change, therefore, is any transformation from what was in the past to something different in terms of attitudes, behaviours, emotions, circumstances, or any other area of an individual's life, or of course that of an organisation. Change can take many forms, so deliberate or accidental changes can occur spontaneously and depending on external or internal forces influencing one's values, as we saw in a previous episode, to change decisions and lifestyle choices respectively. So actually change is an unavoidable part of life, and it necessitates flexibility and willingness to learn and expand our horizons, which of course for some may be difficult. So let's look at change in the organisation. Change can come about through various forms in a workplace or organisation. It could be technological updates, it could be an organisational structure or restructuring, as often happens in the company I work for, through leadership changes, and also processes that may affect employee morale, productivity, and of course job satisfaction. So to expand, when a new computer system is put in place, many think that it's going to replace employees, which is often not the case because people need to retrain. And of course this lends itself to having a change of approach and a change of attitude. So it can take time to adapt, and it also depends on the personality, of course, and this is something that we looked at in a previous episode. And this is where leadership comes in. So managers or leaders need to provide employees with extra assistance during a transitional period, to offer additional support and resources, and what is very important is to communicate proactively and to listen attentively for employee concerns and respond accordingly. That would be nice in a perfect world, I'm sure I hear you say. But for those that are budding to be leaders or managers, then this is something that you need to bear in mind, and this will help everybody that you work with, including yourself. One popular way to manage change that I'm sure many of you have heard of is the change curve. And this was first mentioned in a book by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross in 1969. So it's a long time ago, and it's actually the year of my birth, which makes me realise just how long ago it was. Now, the book was actually entitled On Death and Dying, which is quite appropriate actually, because some may interpret change in such a grave manner. Oftentimes when change comes about, it means the end of a very accepted, very comfortable routine, and often people have to leave their comfort zone and learn new skills or take different approaches to work. And this in some ways is the same as bereavement. You know, when somebody passes away, then we have to learn to adapt to life without them. And the closer that person is to you, as in work, the closer you are to that job, then the harder it is to move on past that. So on the screen now, I've got an illustration of the change curve, and there are various versions to this, but this is one typical version that you'll see quite common. So firstly, we have shock and denial. So the second emotion is anger and or resistance, and it may lead to conflict, which is something we're going to come on to in a future episode. So the next element or emotion is exploration and experimentation, and this is when we really start to finally adapt to the new change and start to employ various behaviours and different attitudes and approaches. And finally, we've got decision and commitment, and this is the stage where the day-to-day flow returns, and this hopefully is something that's going to continue to a point where someone again is satisfied and happy and able to carry out their tasks effectively, or of course in personal life, just go about your daily lives without any further issues. And from a leadership perspective, when changes are foreseen, one method of course in addition to the change curve is to employ disc profiling, which is something we looked at in a previous episode. So from the coaching perspective, there are many approaches and questions that one can ask, and there are many tools that you can employ. So one tool, for instance, is where you ask someone to imagine what a new situation could be like, and try to imagine how it would feel to be in this new situation and what it would mean for them. So this, for those that know NLP, is something which is called future pacing and can be very effective. In terms of questions as well, there are numerous coaching questions that you could employ. So what changes would you like to implement into your life, and why are they significant to you? Are there any current changes impacting you personally or professionally that you're struggling with? And if so, how would you like to express and elaborate on these? Have you considered what challenges or roadblocks you might have in preventing you to adapt to the changes, and how could you overcome these? And what perhaps outdated behaviours or limited beliefs do you have which could be keeping you from adapting to these changes? And how can you keep a measure of personal accountability for making these changes or tracking your progress towards adapting to this new environment or this new situation? So these questions, they could be adapted to a team or an organisation, and they would just apply equally as effectively in all of these situations. So in summary, change is a necessary evil that we all need to go through. And as we said in the beginning, it can be good and it can be bad, but often we have to maintain a positive outlook where change is concerned. Overall, it's about understanding and it's about accepting, and where you can, have an element of being bold and courageous, and just trying to adopt a mindset that the change isn't something that will have too detrimental an outcome. And remember, there are tools that you can employ, which we've just looked at, such as the change curve and of course disc profiling, among others. So to close, just remember, change is not something to be afraid of. Okay, it occurs to us all. It happens from day to day, from minute to minute, and it's something that we can't really avoid. For example, I've never been as grey as I am today, and it's quite likely that I'm going to be even more grey in future. So the choice I have is to adapt to the change or just fight it, and there's absolutely no chance of doing that. So to close, thanks a lot everyone for coming along and for your attention. It's much appreciated. Please remember to like and of course subscribe and press the notification bell so that you get notified of new episodes coming along. Remember to follow the blog on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and of course www.mycoachben.com. So remember, stay safe. As you can see, I've changed today. I just have on a shirt because it's far too warm for a bow tie at the moment. It's absolutely sweltering here at the minute. So in some ways, long may it continue. It's about time we had a nice summer. So thanks for coming along, and until next time, everyone, peace. Your Coach Ben. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Oh. Oops. So again, work-wise, it could be when there's a new computer system, such as using the change curve and disk profiling as well.